on the coronavirus outbreak. In just a few moments, we'll cut into the briefing at the Sejong Government Complex with simultaneous translation. Minister of Health and Welfare Bang Neung-hoo will be briefing us on the coronavirus situation in South Korea and what efforts the government is making to contain the virus, especially with the spurt of cluster infection cases in the capital area. Now, before the briefing, let me give you a short wrap-up of the latest developments. Now, South Korea reported 371 new COVID-19 cases today, including 359 local infections. 3 more people have died, raising the death toll to 336. The briefing is about to start right now. Let's take a listen. Well, the briefing is going to start right now. Let's take a listen.
We have Mr. Bang Neung-hoo, Minister of Health and Welfare. We are also joined by Mr. Yoon Tae-ho, Mr. Kim Gu-il, and Ms. Koo Yeon-hee from the Education Minister, as well as our department head from the Food and Drug Safety Ministry, as well as a department head from the Sports Ministry. And here is Mr. Bang Neung-hoo, our Minister of Health and Welfare. Let us now begin our regular briefing for August 28th, Friday. As of today midnight, we have a total of 359 new local infections. In particular, we have a high speed of the infections in the metropolitan area, and ever since we have the first daily cases exceeding 200, we have been seeing these numbers consist for the past 10 days or so. And these cluster infections are stemming from the Sarangjeo Church as well as the Liberation Soul Rally, and they are now spreading to other regions as well. And we are continuously witnessing cluster infections on a surge, and we are also seeing signs that we are nearing a second massive outbreak. And it's been about 10 days since we have heightened the social distancing level in the metropolitan area to level 2. However, it is too early for us to say that these measures have yielded great results, especially for the past weekend. Compared to the Daegu outbreak, the mobile traffic has been reduced by only 50% compared to the reduction that took place in the Daegu outbreak. The government considers this stage as a serious stage, and we have highlighted measures to intensify these measures, and we will be extending the social distancing level 2 in the Seoul metropolitan area. And for the next 8 days, we will be intensifying measures for certain aspects and areas. And we will be preparing so that we can be toughening the measures to level 3. However, they have not yet been decided as of now. These were the reasons behind this. Increasing level 3 could also bring about ripple effects into our economy and the society. And we believe that this elevating to level 3 is the last option that we have on the table. And this latest measure comes as we have been notifying of the high-risk facilities, and we will be focusing on these going forward. And centering around the young generation, we will minimize their time of stay outside, and at regions all across the nation, we will decrease the vulnerability for the children and our youth. And also we will thirdly protect our people in the high-risk group as well. And first of all, centering around young generations, we will be minimizing the time of time spent outside, and we will be restricting the working hours and operating hours for restaurants, cafes, bakeries in the metropolitan area, and they will be closed from 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. So all of these during these hours will only be allowed for delivery and takeout, and they will not be allowed to have dining in services during these hours. And they also need to comply with mask wearing policies as well as distancing policies as well. And also considering the congestion at the franchise franchise coffee shops, we will only allow takeout and delivery for these coffee shops, and they will not be allowed to have dining-in services. And even when people are taking their food from these facilities, they will be asked to wear face masks as well. And all of the indoor sports facilities will also need to close for the time being. And as for the group clusters of children and toddlers, they will also be heightened with quarantine measures. And in the metropolitan area, already schools have been turned to online classes, remote classes, and the same has been also applied to private academies with over 300 people. And all of the study academies as well as study rooms and other similar facilities will also be closed. And as for the small-scale study rooms that have been registered for up to 5 members at once will only be allowed to operate for the time being. And as for companies and public offices, public organizations, they would also be advised to and be recommended to work from home. And we also recommend these facilities and these office spaces to limit their capacity by 1/3. And next, we will also protect those with higher fatality rates and all these elderly citizens in the metropolitan area, aside from non-essential travels. Aside from essential travels, they will be not allowed to go outside their homes. And at the nursing hospitals, nursing homes, and the social welfare centers for the elderly people, they will also be limiting the number of visitors. And all of the singings as well as other activities that increase the risks of droplet travel will also be banned in these facilities. And we will also carry out intensified crackdown for the door-to-door sales facilities as well. All of these outlined measures will be taking place for the next 8 days, starting from the midnight of 30th of August. And as for the policies for the study rooms and the private academies will be applied starting from Monday, which has a certain time of grace period. And with this opportunity, we believe that this will also affect some 30,000 bakeries and restaurants and cafes in the metropolitan area, as well as about 60,000 study facilities, including private academies, as well as 280,000 sports facilities in these areas. And we believe that these massive closure and massive restrictions will inflict some difficulties and inconvenience for the public. We apologize for that. However, we believe that these measures are necessary during the next 8 days. That is, the government will exert our full efforts to curb the spread of the virus in the metropolitan area, and we ask for the understanding of the members of the public, and we ask you to muster your strength as well. And all of the residents living in the metropolitan area, we ask you to refrain from going outside if it's non-essential. So stay home safe and sound, and please cancel and postpone all of your meetings and gatherings. And when you can finish work, please return home as soon as possible. If we fail to flatten the curve at the metropolitan area with these measures, the last resort that we can apply is the intensifying social distancing to level 3. The level 3 social distancing will also mean more restrictions and more limitations, and therefore it will leave great damages to our economy and the society. So we ask for your active support going forward. The government believes that these intensified measures need to be carried out on site, and if needed, we will be immediately elevating the level to level 3 if needed. And we ask for the medical practitioners in regards to their collective walkouts. Right now, we are faced with a very grave, serious condition of a spread of the COVID-19 throughout the entire nation, and the government has expanded the return to work order to all of the nation, and we will also have stern measures based on legal perspective if there are any breaches. However, we believe that we need to reach a compromise not through these exertion of power, however, through dialogue and candid communication. We ask all of the medical doctors, whether they be trainee doctors and fellow doctors who are actively participating in the collective walkout, to return to your duties as soon as possible. We ask for the medical school students to also comply with the government's intentions to carry out the medical qualification examination. And there are many people who are not in touch right now, and the medical examination will be carried out as scheduled. If you have intentions not to partake in the examination, we ask you to express such an intention individually to us. We ask for your wisdom in making your decision. The government is also continuously exerting our full efforts to engage in candid dialogue. Yesterday, we carried out a negotiation and dialogue with the heads of the nation's major hospitals, university hospitals, and today we will also have a similar seminar and session with the medical practitioners. We are exerting our full efforts to this end, so we hope that we can cooperate proactively with the medical circles to overcome the virus. Right now, we will be also suspending the implementation of the controversial policies that we have in plan, and we will seek measures to engage in negotiations and candid dialogue. We hope that we can engage in dialogue as soon as possible. Right now, it is a very serious situation here in South Korea, not only in the metropolitan area, but in other regions as well. It is a very dangerous time as well. And we believe that the next 8 days will be very crucial for us to contain the virus and flatten the curve. So once again, we appeal to the public. We ask for you to comply with these measures for the sake of your safety, as well as that of your loved ones and your neighbors. Please stay home as much as possible. Please refrain from going outside. Please minimize social contact with others. And we have the experience and the know-how of overcoming the virus, so we shall stay united once again, and we need to exert concerted efforts. We will be able to wisely overcome the outbreak. Thank you very much.
지금부터 질의응답 시간을 가지겠습니다. 배석자분들께서
That was the government briefing on the coronavirus situation here in South Korea. The government just announced some measures to limit the operations of indoor facilities in South Korea. Sports facilities in South Korea will first be banned from operating from next week, and franchise cafes will also be limited. They will only be allowed to provide delivery and takeout services from next week. For more on the details of the briefing, stay tuned to our pandemic at 2 p.m. Korea time. Thank you.